Hey, Hypers, it's Joya, your comedy hype legal analyst and resident Justice Bay. Before I chime in with my comments, we want to invite you to be the judge. This is a new segment on You Be the Judge. Now, we've been following this case on Comedy Hype since it was released that A.J. Owens, the Black mother, who authorities say was fatally shot last week in Central Florida after knocking on a neighbor's door when her children shared with her that they had been taunted by Susan Lawrence. The family of Owens is being represented by civil rights attorney Ben Crump, who recently released this statement. While we are relieved that the woman apparently responsible for the tragic killing of A.J. Owens has been arrested, we are no less concerned that accountability has taken this long because of archaic laws like stand your ground do exist. What this says is when a person can shoot and kill an unarmed mother in the presence of her young children and not be immediately taken into custody, questioned, or charged. What is this law? We will remain vigilant and seeking justice for AJ and other people of color, like Raf Yarl, who was simply knocking on a door and was met with the barrel of a gun in Kansas City. We must eradicate laws like Stand Your Ground that contribute to the lawlessness of our country and the disproportionate maiming and killing of people of color. This is an important step in a necessary journey to justice for AJ. So this case brings back haunting memories of the 2013 Trayvon Martin case, where the world was introduced to the Stand Your Ground law in Florida, where the law states that a person does have the right to meet force with force if it's believed that it's necessary to prevent death or great bodily harm. Now, this case can be a bit tricky to introduce this law, but I do have no doubts that it could be introduced for the defense. However, we cannot deny that more and more Black minors and children under 18 are adultified and treated as criminals as young as 5 years old. So I want to come to you, Pierre. Pierre, do you think that the Stand Your Ground law is applied unfairly when Black children are in the equation? So that's my first question.
Okay, well, it seems like it, but I just think it's unfairly, just period. Force should be met by force. A knock on the door yelling is not forceful, force to shoot somebody through the door. I'm hearing, I don't know the laws, but the problem is that the system went onto the property. When you go on somebody's property, it changes it somewhat. But also I heard, I don't know the law, you may know better, if you're running out of someone's place and they shoot you in the back, even though you're on their property, I heard that's illegal too. So just being on someone's property does not give you the right to shoot them just because they're on your property. So with this being said, that thing, I think Stand Your Ground is giving people too many excuses when they're afraid, when they're racist, when they just feel certain ways, that they feel like, hey, you're on my property, you're yelling, I can kill you right now. And that's not what it really is about, stand your ground, as far as I'm concerned. People are just abusing that and hiding behind the law, saying, hey, I was fearing my life. Hell, somebody could be calling you names and you want to go and they're on your property or whatever, you can just shoot them and say, I stand your ground. So no, I'm glad she got arrested. Now, I'm hearing manslaughter is not as bad as like first-degree murder. So I would like her to get first-degree murder so she really get in that jail for a long time. So it needs to teach people a lesson that just because you're afraid of somebody and they're on your property, they're yelling at you, you don't have the right to shoot them because you're in Florida or wherever Stand Your Ground law is. You feel, hey, I can shoot you now because Stand Your Ground law. No, we need to hold accountability. These are people's lives. You are killing somebody. You're not just hurting somebody. You're eliminating them from being present on this earth physically. And that's because you were afraid or you think you were afraid and wasn't enough force met by force. Too much for me, man. So no, I don't think that should be. And I'm glad she got arrested. And I hope, to the force of the law to put a message out to other folks. We're not gonna play this. I don't care what color you are. I don't care if it's black, white, Mexican. I don't give a damn what it is. Enough's enough of this.
Right. So to your comment about first-degree murder, she would definitely have to prove that it was premeditated and that she was planning on killing this woman.
Definitely. Yeah, she had that pistol real quick. She had that gun real quick. She had to go out and go find that gun for a while. So I don't know.
Absolutely, and I do have some more comments about that, but I do want to shoot it over to Yamanika. Do you believe that this lady, this white lady, Susan Lawrence, may get off because of the Stand Your Ground law in Florida, because she is a white woman who believed that she was in danger? And we all know that Karen trope.
My takeaway from that, because I want you to explain that and that's get it right, is whenever we are defending ourselves as Black people, we are not allowed to use the same excuses white people are allowed to use in their defense. There are different justice systems for us. And I know you spoke about the children, but I want to also add in there Black women. We are seeing a rise in murders of Black women. And for whatever reason, I've been on a crime show. I finally turned into my mother. She kept telling me all the time, oh, you got to watch these death, go watch it. And I don't want to watch a death crime, I want a death crime. But I typed in kitten one day in YouTube, and next thing you know, I got into a death crime. I watch it 24 hours a day. Cold case, murder case, this one died, who this, unsolved mystery, all this. When I see the convictions, I notice a difference when it is a Black victim versus a white victim.
Right.
Parole, life sentence without the possibility of parole. I've seen some where people get convicted for 5 or 10 years for even killing us, even children. So our justice system is very racist and very flawed. And to go back to what we were talking about earlier, when we started to complain and it became an issue, then they did something. Even if it was just the minimum, they went and got that woman. But if we had never opened our mouths, they would have let her go scot-free. That's why I'm saying us sticking together, us supporting ourselves, doesn't mean you can't have commentary. Doesn't mean you can't not like me. It don't mean you can't not like Pierre, anybody here. You don't like, but to still come to us as your people and get your information, your commentary, how we go out to the community from us is very important. And I want us to see that when we stick together and when we make a fuss about some shit that has happened to us, people have no choice but to do something to get us off their back. Right. So hopefully she does. I agree with Pierre. She needs more than manslaughter. This has been a situation with this woman running amok in that community. She has, I know premeditation can be just up to the thought of going to get a gun. You understand? So she has taken a woman's life. And I'll say this in closing, the one thing that I don't like, and I know I'm gonna get the comments because they hate when I say stuff, supporting Black women, but I'm a Black woman, and I'm gonna continue to stand up for my sisters because I don't think people do it enough for us. And if I have to be the martyr for it and I get on your nerves about it, go fuck yourself. What I'm telling you is, it is disrespectful for us to constantly, every time a Black woman is involved, especially, go, well, what was she doing? Well, what was that? What was that? And not give any grace. That woman does not deserve to have been shot to go defend her child that was attacked by a grown adult. And if the roles were reversed and that Black woman shot that white woman or whatever she is, that day that Black woman would have been in jail and it would have been no questions asked. So we got to stop attacking each other on shit when we are dying, because one thing white people do, they ain't gonna do that. They don't give a fuck if somebody wrong. They are not going to tear each other down when they are being murdered. They're going to stand strong. So we again have to have the responsibility to stop disrespecting our own culture and blaming each other for our deaths.
Yamanika, as a Black woman, I also feel your passion, and I thank you for naming race. And I was very intentional about naming race because race does play an outsized role in a lot of these laws and how the laws are applied. So just a little bit of background, Florida was one of the first states to introduce the Stand Your Ground law. And since it has been used, it's been sketchy applications of the law, from Trayvon Martin to Ralph Yarl, 16, who was shot when he went to the wrong address in Kansas City, Missouri to pick up his siblings. 84-year-old white man told the police he fired immediately after answering the doorbell when he saw Ralph pulling on the door handle. It's like the rules change when the law is applied to white people versus white people. I remember Marissa Alexander was charged in Jacksonville, Florida for firing a warning shot in her own property when her husband, who she said was abusive, and she served nearly 6 years for firing that shot and was forced to wear an ankle monitor after. And her defense tried to use the Stand Your Ground law and it was rejected. So as far as getting away with it, I don't believe that it should be completely eradicated on my end, but amended by lawmakers, because there's going to come a time when Black people have to defend themselves. Absolutely, lawmakers should take another look at that law in Florida and other deep Southern states. So back to you, Symphony.
Yes, and I want to thank you on that. Now, before we close out, I do want to add one more commentary. You know, DL is big on talking on cases like this, so I want to read his caption. Here's what DL had to say. He said, "These children have no mother over someone else's BS. She doesn't deserve to enjoy life outside of prison. She has damaged these children forever." So I'm hoping, as you said, Joya, you know, and as everyone has said, I hope it's more than just assault. I think I saw a report that she was trying to leave before she got arrested. She was packing up her things to try to move. So I'm really hoping that, you know, this is done right. I'm hoping that this is done right. That's about as much.